in multiple cities as a hobby while working full-time. We took all of that experience and built a mentorship program called the Victory Strategy to unlock every step of investing in real estate. If that sounds like the opportunity you've been waiting for, look us up at thevictorystrategy.com.
Hi, my name is Jen Potter, and I am the host of Networking Now. We are an amazing show that talks about all different things with networking and more. Today, I have two great guests. I have Jen Hobson as well as Kenny Ingersoll. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about marketing, branding, and leadership skills. So I want to introduce my first guest, Jennifer Hobson. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here again.
Absolutely. So you've been on the show several times, and I love it because we have a great friendship and a working relationship. And every time we talk, we always bring something new to the table. And, when we were looking at the show notes, I was like, ooh, this is something else that I would love to talk about, right? Because it just happens that the universe brings these things in. So if you want to just introduce yourself again to our audience so they know who you are, and we'll dive right in.
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I'm Jennifer Hobson. I'm the owner and CEO of Shine Up Coaching. The three pillars of what we coach on are health and wellness, mindset, and business. And I think these topics that you're bringing up today work right into what we do on a daily. I've been really introduced to business for the first time was 7 years ago through network marketing, which I'm still a part of, and love that style of company, that model. And what's great about that is it taught me a lot about how to be a good leader and good coach. A lot of my 9 to 5s taught me about the things I didn't want to be doing as a leader and a coach. And so here we are now, full swing, and I'm excited to talk about these things with you.
Isn't it amazing? That's something that I say when I worked in my corporate job, the things that I want to do different when I have my own business. That's what I always come back to. What could I have done different? What could have been done in this instant? I've had some amazing bosses, but I've also had some bosses that have taught me some amazing things, all the things I don't want to do in business. So we that's something that I definitely reference, and you mentioned it, and I'd love to hear more about that. What are some things that you have made, have done in the past that you would love to do different, or you are doing differently in order to, you know,
For sure.
teach others
Yeah, so I
working with
would
you?
say, you have those two main buckets, right? You have the people that you really connect with and they become your mentors. And then you have the people where you're like, you know what, this is not a positive situation. So what can I take away from and learn from it? I was really lucky early on in my retail career. I had a great boss that came in like right at the beginning of my time in store retail and corporate retail. And the things that he did differently, first of all, one of the things is speaking and active, like listening to hear is how I want to say that, is actually listening to hear versus just listening to pass on information and kind of just listening to be there. That was one of the main things that I felt that he did differently is he listened to me to truly hear what it is that I had to say. He gave me opportunity to show what I was capable of, which not everybody gives you that, right? They decide what your capabilities are before you're even able to show them. So that was really big, and I learned a lot from him. He also celebrated me when I did do something well. I think so many times, not just in business and work, we're so focused on the negative that that's where we spend a lot of our time. So that was really my first experience with my really first mentor in business. And then there was quite a quite a line of people that I learned things from. And the biggest one was, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself or I haven't tried myself. The other one is I'm not going to talk negatively around people or just in general. I'm not going to bring that negative energy into our workspace. I think that's super important. There's plenty of things that you can complain about in life. Don't bring that into the space where you're trying to grow and encourage and really lead people from the front. And then the last one is making sure like the negative and gossip around other people inevitably, even if you don't think it's having any effect, right? You don't literally talk to that person about this one, but it's one person. It will trickle down and it will change the energy and the environment of any kind of business leadership team that you have.
It's true, right? And I feel like that's always that number one thing when it comes to, with the workplace, no matter where you work, whether you own your own business or whether or not you work with another company, that whole thought process of talking negatively about somebody else in front of a business partner or a colleague or an employee or employer, and it can have such a negative effect on your work experience. You can have a really great job, but if gossip is the talk, that makes it really tough. And not just in your regular workplace, but like in networking groups too, right? For me, if I don't like somebody, I'm just not going to talk to them or talk about them. I have no reason anytime anybody ever says anything negative about somebody else, I always try to see the positive. They're like, such and such does this. I'm like, but they also do this. And, they're not here to defend themselves. So we shouldn't be talking about this. So for me, I try to always like stop it before it starts. And, for me, a lot of my employees or people that I hire, we talked about this early, they're younger, right? So I'm trying to teach them from a very early age that, the gossip in the workplace is something we definitely shouldn't be doing because it becomes so toxic and it makes it really, really difficult to work somewhere. And, the second thing that you said was kind of leaving stuff at the door. Right. So that negative talk is part of it. We could have a really tough day at home. We could have a really great day at home. But when you get to the workplace, leaving it at the door. And that's something I always heard from when we were younger. As we've gotten older, I feel like a lot of people have kind of, got away from that and they do integrate their work like with their family life. And I understand I have to do that sometimes too. We all do, right? Especially working moms, that sometimes we have to take our kiddos with us. And so it's hard to not mix some of those things. But at the same time, if you are able to leave any of those negative emotions at the door, you're able to focus, like you said, grow and learn and want to be there. It makes it really difficult when you bring all of that negative energy. And a lot of that, you know, a lot of it has to do with like what you said, negative energy bringing positive things together. And we're both super positive people. Someone yesterday, they're like, you're kind of borderline toxic positivity. I said, because I will make any negative a positive. I'm like, throw something at me, and I don't think it's toxic. I actually think it's a way to trick my mind that anytime there's a negative situation, something positive will always come out of it. And I try to teach my younger leaders that, there is going to be something negative that happened. This was key for today. Earlier today, right before I got on this call, I had an employee get yelled at by someone and they were upset. And I said, well, what did you learn? What did you learn from that? How did you respond? And he was like, I was super kind. I heard her. I said, I understood. I apologized. And I'm like, that's what you should be doing. Like, not saying that they're right, but at the same time, also acknowledging that you have to hold space for people sometimes, and that can be really difficult in a working environment when negative things happen.
Well, I
So
think
do you have, oh yeah,
people
go ahead.
need I think people need to approach it also as this idea of there's negative energy, but also learning how to ask your team for support when you need it. Even leaders need to ask and show that they need support in different ways. And that sometimes comes in the form of delegation, sometimes in the form of now I'm going to teach you how to do this thing that I've always done. And I think that's really important. It's not just anything I need help is, that's also the negative bucket. That's not true. If I'm having a rough day, maybe at home, maybe I'm not going to come in and complain about it, but I'm going to come in and say, hey, my energy is really low today. This is what I need from you. Can you offer that level of support? And that's where it changes from negative environment, I just give you my problem, to coming in, creating a team that also, when they need support, they know they can come to the leader.
I really like that, and that's really important to know, right? That that was something that was really difficult for me. I'm a person who delegates, and as soon as you said that, I'm like, "Ooh, I'm so guilty," because if something doesn't get done, I'm like, I'm going to do it myself. And what I had to teach myself over the years as I continued to be a leader, it's always a learning process from us. We need to be reminded by other amazing people such as yourself that when you say it's okay to ask for help, right? It is okay to ask for help. I tell people to ask for help all the time, but I'm the last person to ask for help. And just recently, someone said something to me, and they're like, "Just say thank you," and I stopped dead in my tracks, and I was like, "Thank you," and it was that reminder, it's okay to ask for help. And to continue to hear it, I feel like that's been like the topic of the week, because if we can take help, just like you said, the younger leaders are also going to know that they can do that, that they can ask for that. And that also ties into what you said at the beginning, like, because I'm working a little bit backwards with what you were talking about, but you won't ask somebody to do something unless it's something that you will do yourself. And that alone is key. Anything, like, as the person who owns and runs a business, we have to do everything. And so we get so accustomed to doing it all ourselves that goes into not asking for help, which is why we always want to do it ourselves. But just truly saying, I'm willing to do this too. I own a cleaning company. When I started that cleaning company, I kid around with people all the time. I'm like, the first place I would go when I would work with a team is the bathroom. And everyone would look at me and be like, why do you go to the bathroom to clean it first? Because my employees know that I will clean the dirtiest room in the house myself to show you that I am willing to work just as hard as you, that I am willing to, start at the places that need to get done, and not from a place of like, look, I can do this, but from a place of, I respect you and I can do what you do. And I think that's so important to always remind them that you're willing to do those things, because if you're telling someone to do something and you won't do it yourself, that's not being a leader.
Yeah.
That's just like giving a responsibility to somebody, and I don't think that that's ever fair. So I really like that. And so, are there anything, with this topic, anything else that you could think of that you really want to, add to it when it comes to the leadership skills, and something to kind of tell our audience that they can learn from?
Well, and I think one of the other things, it's not just the idea of I'm going to do these things because I'm going to ask you in the future, but it's also the idea of teaching people what it takes to be successful. Some people aren't successful because they don't know what it requires. So if they can be part of that building experience, even if it's learning how to put a business together with, scotch tape and $1,000, like, they need to know what it takes. And then on the other side, the one really, really big thing that I have learned from a very powerful leader is building vision with yourself and your team, and being really clear on describing what it is you're trying to accomplish together.
Oh, I really like that. That was a really great way to end this part of the segment. So that was awesome. This was a great conversation. As always, it always goes by super fast because we're already at our first commercial. So stick around. We have some more stuff to talk about after the break.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you. Call 800-749-7781. That's 800-749-7781. Call now.
Llama a tu amigo Trip Amigo. Una llamada a Trip Amigo te consigue el billete más barato a cualquier destino. Solo dinos a dónde quieres ir y Trip Amigo busca entre cientos de miles de ofertas disponibles en billetes aéreos y hospedaje también. Nuestros clientes ahorran hasta el 75% en las tarifas aéreas y reservaciones de hoteles. Llama ahora mismo. Tu amigo Trip Amigo te consigue los mejores precios de billetes aéreos y hotel.
¿Tiene un carro, camioneta o SUV viejo en su casa? Aunque no funcione y piense que es chatarra, usted puede llamar al número en pantalla y donarlo a Susan G. Komen para ayudar a salvar una vida. Nuestro personal calificado va hasta su domicilio a recogerlo de forma totalmente gratis. La donación de su automóvil, camioneta o SUV viejo ayuda a apoyar a las personas afectadas por el cáncer de mama, así como también al trabajo vital de Komen en investigación, atención al paciente y educación. Necesitamos su ayuda. Tal vez considere que su auto viejo es chatarra o que no vale nada, pero ese auto no deseado es importante para que Susan G. Komen continúe ayudando a las personas con cáncer de mama. Llame al número en pantalla hoy. Iremos a recoger su auto rápidamente. También recibirá una deducción de impuestos por su donación caritativa. Ayúdenos a ayudar. Llame ya.
Welcome back. I'm Jen Potter, host of Networking Now. Before, we were talking with Jennifer Hobson, and we were talking about leadership styles and skills in order to raise bigger leaders. Bigger leaders? Raising leaders. But now we're switching over to marketing and branding. So we're flipping the script just a little bit, but it all does intertwine. So Jennifer, thank you so much for being here again. And let's just jump right in. So talking about marketing and branding and businesses, you obviously own several businesses such as myself. And what are some great things to kind of start off when we're talking about marketing and branding?
I think a lot of the time you have to find your voice, right? When you're marketing and discovering what your brand is. And starting with that one idea. I like to start with the vision. What am I trying to accomplish with this business? Who am I trying to serve with this business? And you do have to do a little bit of work. Who am I actually presenting this business to? Who is your demographic? Have you decided it's working moms with young children? Have you decided it's people that are no longer working? Who are you actually creating this for? And at the heart of it, always remaining authentic. Creating a brand that doesn't align with your message and what you're trying to serve, it's going to come across really fake. It's always going to come across fake. And it's going to come across as you're just trying to sell something. And many times, many of you might be able to, but at the heart of what I do and how I help my entrepreneur clients is who are they trying to serve? And I think words are important, is who are you trying to serve with your product or your services, and how are you going to support them? And start from there and work your way up. You'll get to your colors and your fonts, and all of those things will come when you're talking about your branding. But when you're marketing who you are and what you do, at the heart of it, it has to start with who you serve and how you're going to serve them, how you're going to show up for them, what you're offering them, and where are you offering it. It can be as easy as social media marketing. It can be paid for marketing, but what I'll tell you is if you are at the very entry level, there are many, many ways that you can share what you're doing without paying for it. Once you've built that brand recognition, then absolutely invest in that. But I think so many people job out what they're trying to do in the marketing and have somebody else create their logo and create all these things that they don't feel attached to what they've created.
That's true. And if you don't truly believe in what you're selling, you're not going to sell it. And I always kid around. I'm like, I can sell anything. And everyone has always questioned, how do you sell everything? Well, anything that I am going to sell, I am going to put my blood, sweat, and tears into. So everything that I work on, I truly believe in it. Because if I go and if I was a vegan and I was working at McDonald's, do you think I'm going to be able to sell a hamburger? I mean, maybe, people are coming there to get that food, but it's, if you don't have a passion for what you're doing, you're not going to be able to step up to the next level. Exactly what you said, right? And I think one of the biggest things that people miss the mark on is our target demographic. And that is so important, right? For your coaching business, if I was to say, tell me a little bit more about Rise Up, who do you focus on?
Well, and that's super important. And here's the caveat to that though, is you can go with an intention and a vision, but if it starts to shift and you figure out like, so it's shine up. If I started to go in and I'm saying it's for everyone, but my client starts to trickle down and it's actually for females between 35 and 55 with some children, like you have to continue to narrow it down so you can find that demographic, and it's okay to shift from your original idea if it's not aligning. So you have to do the deep dive. So shine up right now for us, right? My demographic is those 35 to 55-year-old women, people that no longer want to be in the workforce, people that have young children and maybe want to work at home. So that's where I know that I can spend my time talking about the things that those people relate to. If you're talking about things that have nothing to do with the life that your demographic lives, you're going to feel frustrated when you aren't getting new clients.
That is totally spot on. And we can say with a lot of things that we do, myself included, you know, I'm going to service everybody. But if you don't have a target market, it's really hard to hone in on those that skills, right? So I have a professional babysitting company. Right out the gate, I'm already targeted marketing, right? I am targeting families that have kids. Now, price point. Where is my price point? Where is my location? And the more you hone in, just like you said, you're going to really be able to give them something even bigger than giving them something broad, right? If it's coaching and you're more specific with what you're doing, you can really be specific with what you're working on. For babysitting, like obviously, this is the target market. These are the people that I'm looking for, and this is what we're doing. And the more you're able to do that, the more success you're going to have. But like you said, pivot is so important. So important. Because when I first started that company, we were just a babysitting company, and then COVID came out and we actually flipped and we became a nannying agency. And then the world went back to normal and business got slow again. So I pivoted again. And my target workforce is now with the state unemployment agencies. And that wasn't where I initially started. I initially started with like friends' kids. And so, like, over time, my target changed. And like you said, it's okay to change, it's okay to evolve. Hone in on what you're doing. And a lot of times people get scared, myself included. I run women conferences and people will come to me all the time and go, well, what about everybody else? I say the focus is on women, but all are welcome. So my focus is there, and that's okay.
Well, and it's hard to serve a huge demographic the way they need to be served.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the reality of the situation. There are people in their 20s. They're not going to be served the same way as people that are in their 40s and 50s. That's just the reality of the situation is they require different support at different times in their life versus people that want to remain without children and people that want to have children. It's going to be two very different versions. So, yes, you have a conference that's for women. You're not trying to exclude people, you're trying to serve people in the highest form that you are capable. And I think that's where people start to get into the nitpicky. Well, why don't you offer this? I didn't say I didn't offer. What I said is, this is what I offer, and this is who it serves. And I think, like you said, that pivot, you have your original vision, you have your original demographic, but you also have to match your marketing strategy to your current demographic. How are you speaking to them? How are you advertising to them? What are you offering them? Are you speaking their language? Do you have experiences and do you have your own stories that they can relate to? If someone has two young children, they might not relate to the 25-year-old that's on spring break in Cabo. That's just,
Mm.
that's just the reality of
That's
this,
a reality.
right? They may remember a time that they've had that, but they're in a very different season of life. And that's going to also evolve too. Your current demographic, if it is 25, 30 years old, well, if you want to still be in business in 5 to 10 years, are you going to grow with them or are you going to remain in that same demographic?
I mean, that's exactly it, right? And, from the smallest businesses to the biggest businesses in the world, when you started talking about that growth and that change as things kind of go on, right? You're like, I didn't say I didn't offer that. Maybe you don't offer it right now. Maybe that's not an option right now, but then in the future, it is an option. When Starbucks first started, they only sold coffee. And in 2005, they literally had 3 to 4 baked goods, right? Like it was like literally 3 or 4 things. And then over time, they're like, oh, people actually want this. Oh, you know what? They don't want this. And they pull it in, they take it out, they try it. This could be a service that works. This could be one that doesn't. And you don't have to offer a service. You can just say, because that's just not what I do.
Yeah.
This is what I do. And that was beautiful. You were like, I may not do this, but this is what I do do. And, almost like just kind of changing the attention over to these are the things that I specialize in, and you're really strong about that. And that comes through when you're marketing, because if you're marketing to everybody, not everybody's going to look at it, but if you're really specific, right? And that's Facebook does this, like you can actually target 18 to 25-year-olds. You can actually target somebody in a city or someone in the suburbs. You can be so specific with your target market just with like a Facebook ad. It's actually insane.
Yeah, and I think that's where many entrepreneurs, especially when they're getting started, if they don't have the depth of clients, they just want to grasp at everything, right? You want anyone and everyone to sign up. However, that's only going to last for a hot second. It's not going to build the depth in your client list because you haven't created a specialized program that solves someone's problem or serves someone's intent. And I think that's where people get frustrated because they want it to be for everyone. So now they're exhausted because they're trying to fit every kind of client into their program that's already tailored.
Oh, I like that. And that's something to think about, right? And the more you specialize in those things and the more you start to work with what you feel the most comfortable with, I feel like it evolves and grows on its own.
Hmm.
And the more that you just kind of let it grow naturally. And again, looking at a business such as yourself, like I've I've had the pleasure of getting to know you over the past several months and watching you grow and evolve in business. And it's a beautiful thing when you're watching those things change, trying to figure out what works best and how to target it and how to make it work for you. And so with that being said, is there anything else that you think that we should kind of touch upon that our audience may need to know about branding or
I think
marketing?
the only other thing is include a little bit of who you are, right? Don't be afraid to it just needs to be a business. It has to have its own identity. It's part of who you are and share, something interesting about you. Share something funny. Share why you started it or, did you wish you had this availability? I think some people try to separate themselves from their brand, but they inevitably are a part of it, so it's okay to show that side of it.
And I love that. And I'm totally hope I don't embarrass you by saying this, but when you told me the name of your company is Shine Up, instantly the first thing I thought of, well, that's the type of energy that you always have, right? Like I say this about myself, like I have all of this energy. And then I met you and I was like, oh, we have like matching energies. And you just are vibrant and full of energy. And you're like, and my business is Shine Up Coaching. I'm like, that fits you perfectly because you have this vibrance about you. You have this energy, this positivity that when you hear the name and I hear you and you're like, oh, this makes perfect sense that this is your business. So you do shine through your business. And I think that that's perfect when it comes to marketing because that's the type of person that you are. And then you're marketing something that is saying, this is what we can do. I can help you get to here. I can teach you these things. And like, I think that that's great branding. So you nailed it right on the head. So yeah, that's really awesome. So thank you for that. And if you just want to tell everybody quickly, what your, how to get a hold of you and all of those fun things.
Absolutely. So I can always be reached on social. You can find us Shine Up Coaching. Our website is shineupcoaching.com. You can even email me if you personally want to have a chat. Sometimes I'm not for you, but it's good to have a conversation. So you can email me at jenniferhobsonvp@gmail.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me again. I always enjoy our conversations and I hope you have an amazing day. Stay tuned. Candy's on next.
taking a trip in the next 12 months? Airlines are under tremendous pressure and they're practically giving away their unsold seats. Like every crisis, this one will end too. But right now is the best time to take advantage of giveaway ticket prices on their unsold seats. We're not allowed to publish these low fares online. The only way to get these rock bottom giveaway prices is to call. So phone low-cost airlines now for airline ticket prices you may never see again.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
What if you could make a free phone call and reduce your car payment by as much as $83 a month? Right now, you could be paying as high as 20% interest. Your new interest rate could be reduced to as low as 2.48%. You can refinance any existing car loan or leased car and save money every month. Take 5 minutes of your time right now. Make this free phone call and learn how to save hundreds of dollars a year by refinancing your existing car loan.
Welcome back. I'm Jen Potter, the host of Networking Now. I am now joined with Kenny Ingersoll. He's going to talk to us about what he does in the financial world, as well as also talk about marketing, branding, and leadership skills. So thank you so much for joining us, Kenny.
Yeah, then thank you for having me on. I appreciate
So
it.
do you want to tell everybody? Yeah, of course. So if you want to tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do, and that would be awesome.
My name is Kenny Ingersoll. As mentioned, I am a business owner in the financial services industry. We help people get their financial house in order, but also more of that, we help them with their mindset around finances, helping them to improve that, change that to how they want it to be, and so they can have a better financial future for them and their families in generations to come.
And I think that that's actually really awesome because there are a lot of people who just kind of wing it, right? And myself included up until a certain point that I was just like, I'm just going to make money. I'm going to put money in the bank. I'm going to pay my bills. And that was pretty much it. So it's really not that simple though, right? Like there's a little bit more to it so I can actually have a financial future.
Exactly. It's a little more complex to that, but because we are creatures of habit and creatures of comfort, that's what we tend to resort to or fall back to.
Right. And we want, everybody has this dream of wanting to, have a financially secure future, that we want to have a nest egg. And, there are different things that we should probably be doing in order to, to grow our money. And there are so many different things. And I know, we'll jump into leadership skills in just a few minutes, but now that we're talking about finances, I would love to maybe just pick your brain a little bit about where does somebody start? So like if I am just like, okay, I'm making money, I'm not making money, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, I'm making all of this up, but where do you suggest somebody starts if they don't know how to manage their money?
There's a couple ways people could start. Is one, if they recognize what they don't want, and then they can start looking for what they do want, and then find someone that is where they want to be, and then maybe follow them, pick their brain, see what they're doing to get where they're at.
I really like that. And, like what you said, what you don't like, because if there's something that you don't want to do, managing your money a certain way, it's going to be more taxing and more work than it's going to be if you in something that you're looking forward to, or working with somebody. I also find that in your industry, finding someone who you're cohesive with, like having a strong working relationship when it comes to money, you want to trust the person that you're with, correct?
100%.
Yeah, and if you don't trust, like if you don't have that trust, it makes it really difficult, because maybe people aren't going to be, tell you all about their finances. Maybe they're going to hide things because they're embarrassed, or they just don't feel comfortable talking about money. Myself included, I was raised in a family where everything was paycheck to paycheck, even, or not even making it paycheck to paycheck, but talking about money was almost like taboo. Like you couldn't talk about money, you couldn't talk about your finances. Like if I was in debt, nobody knew, or if I had money, nobody knew. Like nobody, like it was something that we just didn't talk about. So it wasn't until I was older that I understood that. And then now all those trust issues with money pop up. You meet a financial advisor, you're like, why are you asking me all these questions about my money? You know what I mean? So now what do you do when you have a client who feels like they're scared to trust you? How do you, like, what are some like things that you do to kind of ease those worries?
Just starting with what they might do. It's no different than just meeting a new friend or whatever. You start the relationship. Maybe you like hamburgers, so you start talking about hamburgers, and then you venture off to pizza, and then you venture off to soda or coffee or whatever. Just kind of build that relationship as you go. Maybe they're not comfortable talking about their finances, but they can ask questions in general. Hey, what about this versus this is my specific thing? What can I do here? Just kind of more generalized, and then it'll dive deeper over time.
I really like that. And I feel like that developing the rapport is so important, and, kind of tying it into a friendship and someone that you can build that trust with. And that's how I do a lot of things in all of my businesses. I work with families. I work, a lot of our stuff is within other people's homes because we're service-based industries. So, and like yourself, right? Like you may go to a client's house, you may go and meet them for dinner, you may, or meet them for coffee. So it is like meeting with a friend and getting to know them and kind of feeling what that looks like. So I really like that thought of, trying to make somebody feel comfortable in order to have those conversations. And so, thinking about some of the things that we were talking about, my brain just automatically starts making that connection to this finance world and talking about all of these things in business, and how to make people feel comfortable and teach them something that they didn't know, to bridging over to talking about leadership skills. Because even if you're not working with somebody else, some of those skills and some of those things that you were doing, they had to be taught to you at some point, right? And you had to learn that in your industry and with the things that you do. And I want to kind of take your own journey. For example, you're in the finance world. How did you get there?
Well, it was just a venture through family and through friends, and just detours, setbacks, sidetracks, a path that I never thought I'd find myself on, but for reasons in my control and reasons out of my control, I wound up being introduced to the finance industry, and here we are.
Isn't it it's funny how that happens, right? And then you're like, poof, this is where I am today. And going through your journey, have there been any specific people, you don't have to use their full names, or you can just use an example like their title, but somebody that you've worked with, or multiple people, either mentors or supervisors or owners of companies or colleagues that you've worked with, that kind of have set the tone to help you grow in business?
So yeah, one is my mentor in business today. He's, before I even joined and became part of the finance industry, he was there to mentor me, you know, in business in general, in life, in relationship, in all areas and stuff. And he's still someone I look up to and trust 100%. And so he's been with me there. And there's been a lot of people through social media networking, a lot of connections, yourself included, that have helped and influenced and been part of that growth and that journey and that life experience that we've been going through.
Well, and that's great, right? And thank you for that compliment. And I feel the same way when I'm working with other people, being able to inspire and uplift others. We connected a long time ago. I was on your show when you had your podcast, and thank you for that as well. And when you meet other people, and maybe there are some skills or some things that I can contribute to you, and meeting you just like in networking, what are some things you can teach me? And when you have those positive influences, your mentor that you trust 100%, this is a person that you can go to and say, hey, what are some things that you can kind of help me with that will help me learn and grow? And I think that that's so important when it comes to business, and then also being able to kind of grow your network and continue to grow people, under you. And have you ever had, and I talked about this with Jen, have you ever had in the past the exact opposite, a negative experience with a leader, with someone who is in charge? And you don't have to you don't have to say who it is, but like, is there something that you can look back at and be like, this is the reason why I did something else?
Oh yeah, there's been a couple of those, and one of them was myself included. Not understanding what a leader really was. I thought a leader was ABC when really a leader is Z, E, F, and D. Kind of a mixture of everything and stuff. And so when you go about it in the wrong way or the wrong understanding, it has a big impact. And then there's been some leaders in other areas of my life that had the mentality of I'm the leader, I'm the boss, my way or the highway kind of thing, and that never really pans out in the long run. And then the leaders, again, myself included, learning in that journey, not being understanding of where the relationship is. If you're a leader talking about business, when you should incorporate family and being a friend, not just that mentor, but a friend, versus just someone that you're networking with. Understanding where those relationships are and where they are not, and trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Right. And that can be hard sometimes. And, just like you said, sometimes our perception versus reality are two completely different things. When you're younger, you may think a leader is this, and then in reality, it's something completely different. But the learning experience of a true leader is you realize that that's not what it was. But if you worked on all of these other things, that makes you a stronger leader. So you took something negative and you turned it into a positive. When you have these people who, ride their high horse and they look down at you and they talk at you, I look at that from a stance of saying, are you really a leader? Because a leader is going to teach me something. A leader is going to help me learn and grow. As a leader myself, I am constantly learning. I was telling Jen this earlier, and I can't remember if it was on the show or if it was while we were on break, but, I am working with an organization and we have a handful of younger leaders, and something didn't get done. And of course everybody gets frustrated, right, myself included. And but it wasn't a sense of frustration. It was, I sat down and I had a conversation and I said, I'm going to tell you this is what happened. We're going to talk about it. And then I want you to tell me what I can do differently in order to make sure I am providing you with enough support to do your job efficiently. And the response was, "You're not mad at me?" I'm like, "What's the point of being mad at you? Why would I be mad at you when this is an opportunity for me to learn how to teach you to do something in a different way so you can learn that?" So for me, I don't know all the different skill sets. I don't know everybody's personality. And maybe if I teach one way, like I'm a visual learner. So if I'm teaching visually, but maybe they're an auditory learner. And so they need to be able to hear it, not necessarily just see it, or both. And so every opportunity I try to always take as, what could I do differently in order to make the next experience better? A leader will always learn. A leader, like you said, you had this negative experience. What can I do to make it positive? what can I turn around to make a negative situation into a positive situation? And then being able to then teach those skills to other people. And in your industry specifically, right? Like there are a lot of people in the finance world. And I feel like that there are some people who come at it by themselves and there's some people who come at it where they want to help everybody else. And I think if you are there to teach, learn, and grow, no matter who you are and what you're working on, you're gonna grow in your organization or in your industry.
Absolutely, 100%. It's if you're in it to serve, you're going to grow and it's going to come back around to you.
Absolutely. And I can't believe that we're already at the end of our first segment. So we definitely talked about a lot. We will come back right after the commercial and we're going to jump into a little bit more about marketing and branding. So my name's Jen Potter and we will be right back.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks can be a burden. Now you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen, portable oxygen therapy that moves with you.
With my Inogen, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
Inogen systems are so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen portable oxygen system for 30 days risk-free. Call us right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 800-367-1753. That's 800-367-1753.
Welcome back. I'm Jen Potter, the host of Networking Now, and I am joined again with Kenny Ingersoll, and we were talking a little bit about finances and leadership. Now we're going to jump in to talk a little bit about branding and marketing. And with your industry, it's a little bit different. Because you are in the finance industry, you can't always brand and market in the traditional way because you have to be cautious about how you're selling your business. So can you tell us a little bit about how you are able to kind of manage that and some tips and tricks for, branding?
Yeah, there's always a way that you can kind of make it your own. You just can't go like into specifics and stuff of, I could talk about some of the concepts and the things out there, but I can't go into like specifics about the products and things like that. But there's also ways that you can talk about what finance means to a lot of people. Finance just means A, B, and C, but there's so much more that it covers, and so you can expand on that and use that as marketing and branding as whatnot for education and knowledge purposes, as well as just branding and social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like you said, you just have to get creative. And we were talking about this during the break. You do something similar to what I do. And one, you do it because it's, market specific. And me, I do it because, I have so many different businesses. But I also think that it's a really great way of doing this if you ever decide to switch your industries. But instead of focusing solely on your business in marketing, you focus on your self awareness and self brand awareness. And so you talk more about, your social media is about you. It's about you and the things that you're doing. And I think that that's so important to be able to, talk more about yourself and showcase who you are when you're building these personal relationships with your clients. It's about trust, right? It's about who you are as a person. And so being able to put yourself out there in social media. What are some maybe things to not do if you are, working on your own personal brand and you potentially have your clients seeing your social media?
Not do what you don't want your image to not look like. If if me being in the finance industry and I'm focused on bragging, or focused on 10 other industries that I'm not part of, of course I want to promote others and things and help them and stuff. But if that's my focus, or if I'm coming across non-authentic, if people that know me really well know that I'm over here on in the ABC, but I'm posting like I'm way over here in XYZ, that's going to throw out mixed messages and confuse people, and kind of muddle down, lose some of that trust and that relationship that you've built.
Yeah, and I think that that's important. And, just if you question putting something on social media, ask yourself why you're questioning it. That's what I always say to myself. Like, if I'm doing something and I say, will someone, I don't really care what people think of me, and from the space of I just respect everybody so equally. But if I put something out there and my parents see it, and I put something out there and my colleagues see it, and I put something out there and my potential client sees it, if they all see the same thing, is that going to help or hurt me? And if or it's going to be neutral. And if it's going to hurt me, I'm not going to put it on social media. And I mean that from a sense of I want everyone to see who I am authentically, just like yourself. This is who I am as a person. But like if you're in the financial industry, and I'm making this up, and say you are gambling and you show yourself like spending all this money in Vegas, do you think a client is going to want to work with you if it looks like you could appear to be careless? Now, you might be just going for a party because you're having so much fun, but there's certain ways on how we talk about that when we're on social media, right? Like if you posted like guys trip and take a picture, that's one thing. Or you sitting in a slot machine spending all your money. What's going to help you and what's going to hurt you? And so you're still being authentic in both pictures, but I think being cautious of how you're advertising that is super important. Because me, all of my profiles are public, so my parents, my kids, anybody who has access to my social media sees everything that I do. So I want to always remain authentic, but at the same time always be cautious that everybody's going to see my content, and it can be shared, right? So if they're like, oh, Kenny does this, and you want it to be, oh, because Kenny is awesome. He's doing these awesome things, and that's what's being shared on social media. And I think that that's really cool. And and it was through your social media stuff, like when we reached out and we started talking, I'm like, oh, he looks like a cool dude to talk to. Let's have a conversation. So I think being able to just be aware of those things. And so any other like tips or tricks that you can think of when it comes to marketing and brand awareness that you like our audience to know?
Yeah, listening, getting feedback again, um, not trying to please everybody's opinions, but at the same time being authentic and wanting that feedback as far as what, especially on the business side, what what would you like to learn more about that I could post that would help you, or are you more visual, or do you want more articles, or do you want more videos, or do you want more blogs, or whatever it is, or do you want more about this topic, or maybe more specific about this topic to a degree, or kind of getting some of that feedback and listening to that, and then putting content on there, and again, maybe even answering questions, doing a Q&A type thing of with some of your potential clients or whoever. Maybe you'll never meet them, and maybe you'll never help them in business or anything like that, but just helping in general.
I really like some of the things that you're just saying when you're talking about, posting certain things, getting the feedback. What do people want to see? I think that's important, pivoting when we're putting stuff on social media. If I'm putting too many selfies out there, like I am infamous for selfies, and it's going to keep happening because I love taking selfies of all of the places that I go. But if I'm putting too many selfies, maybe I'll slow it down a little bit if somebody tells me I'm doing too much. But I'm just kidding. But, you were talking about, posting articles, posting what is some information that I can give you. I think giving, I wouldn't say you're not giving your services away, but you're giving away some, like tips and tricks and different things that you can teach other people to be a little bit more strategic. Like, I don't know, I'm making this up. If you're going to go invest in something and there's, a certain type of investment to make, and you say investment A is better than investment B, and that's all of you're saying, you might be helping somebody save money or make a decision, and just giving them a positive thought process could potentially get you a client. It might not get you a client, but it may also get you a client by giving them something small away. Like, hey, this bank is better than this bank. The percentages are here today. And, building that trust and building that rapport when it comes to all of those things that you are doing, I think really it helps you when it comes to, marketing. And when I first started my businesses, I'm like, well, what are some things that I can give away, like the tips and tricks? What are things that I can say? Because all of my businesses are so different, but, and trying to remain authentic, like through all of that sometimes is really difficult, and be able to capture all my audiences. But like you said, what are things that I can do to bring all of those in, right? And in your industry and your personal social media, are there any other things that you focus on, or you that you do to kind of make you stand out from other people in your industry?
I don't know about that it would stand out from, but I'm just focused on being authentic to me, and I post about what's important to me, not for the sake of look at me, brag, but, this is important to me. I want to share part of it and bring you into my life in that degree. So I'll post things that are important to me, my family, different trips, things like that and stuff. But that may be different focus to what's important to somebody else in the same industry and stuff. So that's what I focus on. I don't try to set myself apart necessarily in that regard. Just doing what's important to me and being authentic to who I am, I think helps set us apart naturally.
I agree with that. I like that. Just being
Yeah,
yourself, right?
just be yourself, and sometimes you're goofy, sometimes you're serious, sometimes you're all the above. So, but you're yourself.
I love that. And I think that's what it is, right? I own a company that, is about being yourself, and it's about being authentic. So you're saying all the things that, really they truly hit home for me, because it is important. I share only the things that truly make me happy. And with that, one of the shows, or one of the things I love doing this, and I love connecting with people. If you want to just tell our audience, again, your name, you can tell us what you do, if there's any social media handles or emails to get a hold of you. And if they can't, they can always reach out to me, and it's also in the show notes.
Well, no, thank you, and I've loved being on here, and please keep doing what you're doing. The simplest way is through my website, ingersollenterprises.com, and it has all my social media. It's got my email, my cell phone, so multiple ways you can connect with me through there. ingersollenterprises.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today. It was a pleasure. Like I said, it went by super quick, and we always have great conversations. So stay tuned and have a great day.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan